everyone, and welcome back to You, Me, and News. Teacher Sam here. In the last episode, we started talking about the Blake Lively and the Justin Baldoni case. Well, look, today we're doing part 2, and honestly, I hope to be able to clarify some of the main parts about this case. So, as always, grab your pen and notebook because I'm going to explain what happened, right, using clear and simple English. So, basically, like always, I'll also teach you some new vocabulary along the way. First, I'd like to say that this whole Blake and Justin drama is kind of long, so I honestly don't want to get too deep into it, and I believe we'll need maybe a part 3 for this, right? So in the last episode, we talked about how Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni worked together on a new movie, remember, right? Called It Ends With Us. At first, everything seemed normal, but apparently behind the scenes, things were far from okay. In fact, Blake Lively eventually ended up filing a lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. Yes, a lawsuit. Let's pause here for just a second. A lawsuit is when someone basically takes another person to court, right? And it usually means one person believes the other person did something wrong or broke the law or something like that, right? So say it with me, please. Lawsuit. Lawsuit. So you see, Blake eventually filed a lawsuit against Baldoni, but honestly, even before she filed the lawsuit, there were rumors that Blake and Justin were not getting along behind the scenes. Do you know what to get along means? Right? When you have a good relationship with a person. So if you get along with someone, you have a good relationship with them. If you don't get along with someone, well, then you don't have a good relationship with them. So like I told you, even before she filed the lawsuit, there were rumors that Blake and Justin were not getting along behind the scenes, right? But look, even before these rumors, there were other rumors going around that Blake Lively is kind of difficult to work with, that she is kind of a rude and controlling person. Now, keep in mind here, when something is a rumor, we don't really know if it's true or not. That's why it's a rumor. For example, I could literally make up a rumor about my camera guy here. I could tell you something like, oh my God, he took my car yesterday without even asking for my permission. You see what I mean? Now, I can tell you that here, but that never happened, you see? Okay? But technically, I could just start a rumor about my camera guy here, right? So you see, does that make sense? A rumor is just a rumor until you know for sure if it actually happened or not. So these rumors were going around, but we didn't really know if they were actually true. And there were rumors about Blake being controlling and being difficult to work with. But again, we did not know for sure, is this actually true? And not to go completely out of the subject, but I do have to show you guys this clip here real quick. Why? Because it's actually a clip from an interview where I guess Blake was pregnant with one of her kids, and the woman who was conducting the interview, so the interviewer, right, just casually says to her, oh, congrats on your bump, which is a way to say, hey, congrats on being pregnant. For some reason, Blake did not like that. So instead of saying, thank you so much, right, something like that, right, Blake literally gets irritated and starts acting very passively aggressively towards the interviewer. You'll see it in the clip here. She just starts ignoring the interviewer and starts complaining about why women always get questions about the clothes that they're wearing in movies, blah, 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 right? In fact, let me show you the clip here and you'll see what I mean. Let's take a look here.
Little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
You've got two nice ones.
They are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps. The lovely lady lumps. Check it out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are
you like the movie? Are you a Woody Allen fan?
I love most of his movies, and this one was so visually amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And working in digital.
Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I would.
I love Jesse's suits and how
that's what I'm saying. His wardrobe was beautiful.
I know.
Corey's
Everybody.
wardrobe was
I know.
gorgeous.
He's
Those
so
high-waisted pants.
He's so great.
I wish men
And
wore
sorry,
high-waisted pants
too.
like
I
that
know.
still.
Me too.
Or their father with his tank top and
Oh,
bed.
it's so
Just
good.
it's just like
Did you
that.
catch
You could feel
the
it.
tablecloth on the light in the Italian restaurant when they eat spaghetti?
I didn't
in
notice
it?
that. No.
So when you started watching this clip, you were probably like, what? No, Blake seems sweet. But did you notice how she literally ignored that journalist and just kind of started talking to that woman next to her? I personally felt a bit of like a mean girl vibe there, meaning I personally felt like Blake may not be as cute and as nice as people thought she was, right? Okay, so now that you have that little backstory there, maybe it's not that impossible to believe those so-called rumors that, who knows, maybe she might have been difficult to work with. And honestly, again, not to try and kind of tell you what to think here, but once I'm done with this episode, I think you'll better understand what I mean when it comes to Blake Lively being kind of possibly a mean girl. So back to the lawsuit. Why did Blake file a lawsuit against Justin? We're going to get into that shortly, but I do want to tell you that she first filed a complaint against him. Actually, right before Christmas of last year. To be specific, she filed the complaint on December 20th. And in it, what did she do? She complained about Justin Baldoni's behavior. Now, do you see how I am using the verb to complain here? Right? When you complain about something, you have things to say about it. And it could be something like, look, he did this to me, or man, she did that to me, something kind of bad and negative, right? So what are you doing? You're complaining. That's why in this case, it's called a complaint. Complaint is the noun. So on December 20th, Blake filed a complaint against Justin, and in it she alleged that Justin Baldoni and the movie producer Jamie Heath behaved inappropriately towards her. Now notice here, please, I used the word alleged. Alleged. She alleged. Look, when you allege something, it's basically an allegation. It's an accusation. It's a claim. And that's why people end up in court most often, because truthfully, we don't know if what that person is alleging is true. So it's sort of, kind of like a rumor. So Blake alleged that Justin Baldoni, together with the movie producer, behaved in a way that allegedly made Blake feel uncomfortable and disrespected. If you guys don't mind, I'll mainly focus on her allegations towards Baldoni here, because it's that story that I am trying to sum up here for you guys. But basically, she alleged that he is what? A creep. So if a woman calls a man a creep, that means that he is doing or saying things that are making her feel uncomfortable. So here's an example. If, let's say, you are at the supermarket and some random guy that you don't know comes up to you and starts making uncomfortable sexual comments towards you, you could easily say that he is a creep. So, Blake Lively alleged that Justin Baldoni is what? A creep. Now, it's important for us to understand this here. That complaint was supposed to be private. But literally, one day after Blake filed the complaint, it was no longer private because the New York Times literally published this headline. Let's look at it here. Listen, as you can see here, the headline says, "We can bury anyone inside a Hollywood smear machine." Private messages detail an alleged campaign to tarnish Blake Lively after she accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us. Now, I really hope you guys have your notes with you. I hope you have a pen and that you're writing this down, because we have a couple of words from this headline that we can learn together. So here's another one. She accused Justin Baldoni. Again, when you accuse someone, it doesn't mean they did something. It's just an accusation. You are alleging something, right? But what did she accuse him of? Listen to this. Blake Lively, after she accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct. Write that word down, dear students. Misconduct. This is quite advanced English. Misconduct. What does it mean? When someone behaves in a way that is inappropriate, that is not correct. So again, let's go back to that silly example about my camera guy. If I say to you, "Oh, he took my car last night without asking me," let's say actually that's true. Let's just say that's true. Let's say he did that. That would be some kind of misconduct on his part. Make sense? Right? Or what if we go back to that story where you are at the supermarket and a guy starts saying something inappropriate to you, right? So you say, "Oh my God, he's a creep." Well, you're calling the guy a creep because of his misconduct. So let me read this headline one more time here. "We can bury anyone," says this New York Times headline, right? "Inside a Hollywood smear machine. Private messages detail an alleged campaign to tarnish, to destroy Blake Lively after she accused Justin Baldoni of misconduct on the set of It Ends With Us." Now remember, the New York Times is a famous American newspaper. It covers news from around the world, look, including politics, business, science, culture, and more. Okay? Now look, people are reading this headline in the New York Times, which, by the way, was very biased towards Blake Lively. It was really on Blake Lively's side. In other words, it automatically took Blake's side. So as you can imagine, most people at this point are like, "Oh my God, Blake Lively is the victim here." And this is how the Me Too movement kind of comes up again. Please go back and watch episode 8 that I released last week if you want to understand a little bit better what the Me Too movement is. But actually, I'll also do an entire episode on the Me Too movement in one of my future videos. I really will, because then I can explain to you guys what it really is and what I think some problems are with the movement itself. Because honestly, there's a lot that I want to say about the Me Too movement here. But I think, again, it's better if I wait until I actually create an entire video about it. So anyway, because of this, New York Times headline, many people started to take Blake's side, seeing her as the victim. But, and I think this is kind of interesting, there were also quite a few people saying, listen, if all of this is true, if Baldoni did all these things, why didn't she just file a lawsuit? Why did she only file a complaint? Which, by the way, Blake did eventually. She did file a lawsuit, and in it, she alleged that Baldoni is a creep, that allegedly he and the producer, Jamie Heath, would suddenly enter her trailer where she was breastfeeding her baby. Keep in mind, you guys, this is what she alleged. And remember, whenever you allege something, it's simply that. It's just an allegation. We don't know if it's true or not unless we are given more evidence. She also alleged that the producer, Jamie Heath, showed her a video of his wife giving birth, which she thought was super inappropriate. She also alleged that Baldoni purposely wrote movie scenes where he can hold her for a long time, kiss her for a long time. Yeah, she also alleged that when they were filming these, more intimate scenes, that there was no intimacy coordinator there. You see, what is an intimacy coordinator in movies and TV shows, right? Well, it's a person who is present when very intimate scenes are being filmed, just to make sure that everyone is comfortable filming and that nothing inappropriate happens. So in a sense, they're there to kind of protect the actors. Make sense? Also, she alleged that he made her feel fat, old, and ugly. Again, I am trying my best to give you guys a quick summary here without getting too deep into this actual story because it's quite long. So now you're probably asking, okay, but what about Justin Baldoni? Is he just kind of sitting there and accepting this whole thing? The answer is nope. In fact, exactly 11 days after Blake filed the lawsuit, Baldoni filed a $250 million lawsuit against New York Times. Ah, yes, against the New York Times, because he believed that the New York Times kind of manipulated the article. You see, to give a story which made Blake look innocent and Justin look like the bad guy. And guess what? You guys, he brought his receipts. Yup. Now you must have heard the term receipts, I'm sure. Yes. When you go to the supermarket, for example, and you buy something, what do they give you at the end? They give you a receipt. Here's a receipt. But nowadays, when we say he has the receipts or she has the receipts, what we are saying is they have the proof to support their side of the stories. So again, I'm not going to get into every detail here, but for example, Baldoni presented a specific text message between him and Blake Lively where she literally tells him, hey, I'm just pumping in my trailer if you want to work out our lines. Now, why is this important? And by the way, I'm going to show the text message here so you can read it for yourself. Okay, this isn't the actual text message here, and you can see that she says, I'm just pumping in my trailer if you want to work out our lines. Why is this important for us to know? Because remember how Blake alleged that Baldoni would just come into her trailer while she was breastfeeding? Well, thanks to these receipts here, these text messages here, we can really see that that's not true. That's not at all what happened. She actually invited him to come in. By the way, Justin Baldoni also hired a lawyer for this case, and I would like you guys to listen to what his lawyer says in this clip here. Let's take a listen.
Any case that I've handled in my entire career, this is the one case we're going to put every single text message, every single document, everything on a website for everyone in the public to read, come to their own conclusions, and they can determine whether or not there was sexual harassment here, there was a smear campaign, or there was retaliation, because we have proof and receipts that absolutely and unequivocally show this is not true.
Did you hear how he said, we have proof and we have what? Receipts. You see, that's what that is. So honestly, you guys, this is the end of the video, and I know you're probably shocked. You're like, what? You tricked us? Yeah, I kind of did. Okay, there has to be a part 3 of this story. I mean, it's just so long and there are so many important details that I want to share with you guys here that I think are important in order for me to actually give you like kind of a fair take on what Blake Lively alleged, but also on what Justin Baldoni alleged. So we'll definitely have a part 3, and in it, we'll focus a lot on like, you know, how did Baldoni respond to this lawsuit and what are some of the more detailed receipts that he shared with everyone. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for liking and commenting. Let me know in the comments below, did you learn any new words from this video? Which words were new to you? All right. And also share with me if you are excited about part 3, which is coming very soon. Okay. Please subscribe and share the video. And thank you so much again. See you next Wednesday. Kisses.